Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the RocketMSP group, of the RocketMSP podcast. I'm Steve Taylor. I'm your host, and today is going to be a fun one. I'm going to be joined here in a moment with somebody from Curricula and somebody from Electric. And you may have heard of Electric. It's Electric.ai. They are a really big MSP. They, I believe, cover the entire United States. So I'm going to go ahead and bring these gentlemen on right now. First, I will introduce you to Nick Santora. Hey there, Nick.
Steve, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, sir. You are, I believe, the CEO of Curricula, correct?
CEO, founder, janitor, you name it. Call me what you will, but I've been around for a while.
All right. And then we have Andrew Tynan from Electric. Now, Andrew, you are the manager of partnerships product at Electric.
Correct, Steve. So that product that you see in the brackets is the department that I do sit in. And I'm sure I'm going to talk about why that's the case as part of this conversation. But thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, I have so many questions. So, Curricula, you guys do some really cool stuff when it comes to cybersecurity. You guys make security awareness training fun, or at least that's what your website claims. I will say though that cute little girl, she is fun, but she's the bad guy, right?
It's kind of like the anti-hero. So yes, she runs our phishing simulator, but she also is kind of sweet after she hacks you, and she teaches you how to dodge her and her real life hacker friends.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds much more fun than you just rooting for the hacker, the evil, mean hacker. So I guess I just kind of want to dive in a little bit right into Curricula. So can you kind of fill me in on what exactly you would say Curricula is?
So in the biggest concept, we basically teach companies how to not get hacked. So that's the goal. And we all know that we don't want to get hacked, and we're all trying to prevent this from happening. And MSPs are trying to prevent their clients from getting hacked. So what our goal is to get employees engaged and almost shift their security behaviors and culture into a new direction, and into a direction of not just checking the box and doing things that they're told to do, but doing things that they're not told to do because they actually understand the risks of what they face every day.
That I like. Andrew, can you tell me a much more eloquent version of what Electric does than what I said?
Sure thing, Steve. So Electric is now in its bordering on 5th year of service. And despite the fact that we are offering fairly typical MSP scope of support, we like to think ourselves as a little bit different from a typical MSP in that we are a product-led company, and we have a suite of software that we have developed over our lifetime to provide SMBs with a robust suite of IT tools that is somewhat more easy and efficient to access than what we find to see in the market today.
Got it. Now, when I look at your bio here, I see that Electric is a Series C startup already. How is it that you guys have amassed 40,000 end users and over 500 SMB customers in 5 years? And not only that, but in one of the most dense cities in the nation where you probably have, I want to say, 2,500 competitors in New York City.
Correct. And I do believe that almost half of our customers to date are located in New York, but we do have SMBs located across the country, Steve. And in fact, we are capable of supporting customers in now 200 locations or cities across the country. I think part of the reason for our growth is that SMBs and every company needs IT support, and we are doing a great job of engaging with the people that need IT support and making it very clear as to the value that Electric can provide to them. It would be remiss of me not to give a shout out to our sales and marketing team, which are doing a great job of positioning Electric's services to the right people. And once we've got the right people on the line, it's a very easy conversation to demonstrate the value of what we're doing for customers today. So I think the customer growth that we've had is not slowing down. In Q2, we acquired something like 120 new logos across the country. So I anticipate that our growth in the next second half of this year is only going to accelerate.
That's amazing. Nick, can you tell me a little bit about your career in the IT world? Because I don't know, you just kind of pop up out of nowhere. You've got this great cybersecurity training thing, but who were you before that?
So I love IT since I was in a young high school, got certifications when I was a junior in high school and always wanted to go into this field, and caught a job at an agency called NERC, which, if you're not familiar, it's the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. A lot easier to say NERC. They regulate the power grid in North America. So from my early career, I actually was involved in helping protect our nation's infrastructure from all of the adversaries and nation state hackers, and teaching our utilities on how to keep the lights on. So I spent 7 years there in my career, certifications up the wazoo, CISSP, CISA, chased all of the traditional career paths. And, knowing what I knew and seeing what I saw, I got to go visit a lot of utilities across North America, basically meeting with CISOs at these huge vertically integrated utilities and talking to them about how they're going to get hacked and how it was going to be a silly mistake. And if you look at the Colonial Pipeline and all the other things that have happened and brought this to light, I mean, this is not news. This is not new to the world. This is something that has been a problem for decades. The learnings from there is really what made me discover that there was a massive problem in educating people about all of the crazy, complex lawyer rules that we put on them and hope that they know what's going on. So from there, the idea came and basically sparked up the original concept of making Curricula help teach utilities in North America how to learn how to protect critical infrastructure.
Well, I think that today more than ever, this is a critical component of what everybody needs to understand. I mean, everybody down to kids in elementary school rely on computers. My son, he just turned 9. I don't think they would know how to teach anymore if he didn't have a Chromebook. It's absolutely insane to me. And then, I don't know how old you are, but I graduated 2002, and we weren't even allowed to, have an electric anything. It was like a privilege to go to the library and use those shared computers there. We might have had 1 or 2 computers in the classroom. So the shift, I'm excited and nervous at, what are the next 5 to 10 years going to hold? And right now, I feel like everything happening in IT in general, it's like the Wild West, and things are just going to get crazier. So Andrew, with all of that, how on earth did you decide to reach out to Curricula, or was it the other way around?
It's interesting, Steve, going back to your comment about the next 5 to 10 years. I was speaking to a partner last week and we were discussing where do we see cybersecurity and the role that it plays in 5 to 10 years. And I said, it is going to be so pervasive across every company. Before you do anything on day one, it is, I imagine, or I hypothesize, going to be security. This is our cybersecurity policy. This is security. And I think that we're starting to see that trend happen very quickly. And so it was a very important and easy conversation for us to start with the Curricula team that came actually off the back of a recommendation from one of Curricula's partners, Coalition, a cybersecurity insurance provider. And Nick and I got talking about the work that they're doing, and it felt like a very natural and very easy fit.
I also I met Bill back a year or two prior to that in Atlanta. And that's how I kind of, wow, that's cool. Like, we work with a lot of these companies that are customers of yours. And we started talking at that dinner. And then I came up to New York and met with him and a few others to your offices there. And it was just, this is what it takes. It's relationships and building trust amongst the community here. And it was just kind of a no-brainer for us to keep the convo going at that point.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of alignment in terms of the values of Curricula and Electric. Curricula doing things in a modern way to other security awareness training providers, and that resonated very, very closely with me and the work that we're doing at Electric. So despite what my CISO might have recommended in terms of security awareness providers and some of the more traditional or old school ones, it was a very easy decision for us to make in terms of our partnership with Curricula.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right, Andrew, Curricula, you launched your MSP program back in March. Andrew, you were included in the press release. You said training your team with security best practices is a priority for our customers when it comes to cybersecurity. We're so excited to partner with Curricula because the content is so different from the typical boring security awareness training that you can get from vendors out there. Our customers are looking to us for knowledge all around all things security, and Curricula helps us clearly communicate that message in a fun way. So, why is Curricula different? Like, it sounds like, the big thing for you is you're making it fun. Is that really the biggest thing with Curricula for you?
I think the biggest thing for us is we wanted a partner that we knew our customers would engage with, both on day one and in year 1, 2, 3 into the relationship. I was concerned that some of the other vendors that we were evaluating, despite having a very impressive and long track record, were not going to be able to effectively engage with our end users in the long run. So the word fun, was, I think, a great kind of perhaps reference or example to the way that Curricula are providing their content. It is, the characters you mentioned, like Dee Dee, make it interesting and enjoyable to work with the platform. And that is very important to us because security awareness training is, we think, a fundamental part of any IT stack. And we knew that Curricula had a modern approach to doing that. So yes, we think it's a very important consideration to the partnership, Steve.
Is Curricula the first product that you've deployed to your customers for security training?
It is. There are customers that come to us with legacy security awareness training providers. I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure you'd be familiar with them. But it is the first product that we are actively recommending to our customers.
And how do your customers react when when you put this in front of them? Because I know the last thing that I would want is for my vendor to think he's so important that he can give me homework.
It's a really great question. And when we think about our customers, we have a number of kind of criteria that we evaluate them into, or a number of personas that we look at. One of them is IT maturity. We have some customers, Steve, with a relatively high IT maturity, and that is companies with a director of IT, an established IT department, and we would treat the conversation with those types of customers very differently to someone with a de facto IT person that could be someone in an engineering capacity or operations or HR capacity. So the conversation has to be very different depending on how established their IT department is. Why? Because someone with the knowledge and education as to the value of security awareness training is going to have a very different response or reaction to someone perhaps within as much knowledge in that space. So speaking to the director of IT, security awareness training is a no-brainer. It is less as much of showing me what the impact of this is and tell me why this is important, as much as how is this solution going to be better, easier, more efficient than some of the other solutions in the market. For companies with perhaps a lower IT maturity, it is definitely more education into security in general and why cybersecurity starts with security awareness training, and then we can kind of build up a conversation there.
Now, do you guys also use this internally for your own team?
We do. We've recently launched Curricula internally, and I think that is a good testament to the product and to the value of Curricula, because we want our team to know the product in and out. We want our team to have the best understanding as to what that experience might look like as an end user. So yes, we are an active customer of Curricula.
That is fascinating to me. And I don't say that I understand we should know the product inside and out. Do you sometimes worry that some of like your higher tier or higher level support guys are going to feel like this is beneath me or something like that? Like,
yes, absolutely. I'd be lying if I didn't say that some of our senior engineers were more knowledgeable on security, cybersecurity than folks on our sales team or on our marketing teams. But what's important is that we are setting a benchmark of education in the country. And importantly, we are able to demonstrate to auditors and other folks that, our employee base has completed level 1, 2, 3, whatever it might look like, together. So there might be grumblings, but that's wholly natural when you're rolling out any product, and something that our people team do a very good job of mitigating.
now, with you guys, do you guys push this out to all end users, all customers?
We do not. At this point, we did not make it a mandatory inclusion into our packages, Steve. Or we are, as part of the early stages of our partnerships, treating this as a add-on inclusion to the Electric Core package. It's a really great question because we're constantly evaluating the pricing and packaging of solutions. It's no surprise to anyone that security is a very pain point, the number one buying kind of decision for our customers, Steve. So we may in the future make this a mandatory inclusion of some of our packages, but at this point it is an add-on that we recommend, that we can resell or refer, that we can deploy and manage on behalf of our customers.
In the future, do you believe that you would ever make it to where not only is it a mandatory inclusion into the package, but maybe even something in your contract that maybe states, everybody in your team has to go through everything and maintain. And I haven't seen what the curriculum looks like yet. So, everyone needs to pass everything every month, or otherwise you get a fee for not being as secure or something like that. Like, have you thought that far ahead?
Well, unfortunately, we have not, Steve, and I think that might be a fairly tough conversation to have with our customers. I certainly, and I'm understanding of the need for liability waivers and the need for, more mandatory elements of a customer's IT infrastructure. That might change with security awareness training as this landscape changes. We know that a lot of customers who have compliancy requirements actually need this as an element of their SOC Type 2, their whatever it might be. So if there is a customer that has got perhaps a compliancy framework, that might become a mandatory element. But there would need to be a lot of discussions with our sales and marketing folk to come to an agreement, because Electric is on a mission to make things as easy as possible for our customers, and introducing something is not as complex as this, but introducing another layer to our offering might make that relationship with customers just a little bit harder.
I understand that. And I guess I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that anything is set in stone or definitely going to happen or not, but I just worry that with all of these incidents that have happened, and let's be honest, they're going to continue to happen, and similar to how technology continues to get better, I think the incidences, I think those will also increase at that same rate that we can expect technology to improve, right? So at some point we may have regulation, and at some point, insurance is going to stop covering things. So with the MSP, Electric in this scenario, becoming more and more responsible or more and more liable for some of this stuff, you can't help but think maybe you need to put some things in the contract that say, hey, look, we are liable for certain things, so we need you to be responsible for certain things as well, or else maybe we just can't be your IT guy anymore.
Yeah, it's a great consideration, and I think if you've ever heard Nick or any other expert in the cybersecurity field discuss, the causes of incidents, more often than not, it's human error, or it's people doing something they shouldn't be doing, or not having the right knowledge or resources to, perform a particular task or action. So, I think mitigating that with cybersecurity awareness training will lead to reduction in incidents. I think it's a really fair point, Steve, and I certainly would be interested in exploring what the future of that discussion might look like, because that could be the reality of what MSPs like Electric have to do in the future.
some people are sending me private messages that they can barely hear me. So I'm just gonna push some buttons here and see if this gets any better. Are you guys able to hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does it feel like I'm the same volume as the other guy?
You have a soothing tone. So maybe that's what you're too relaxing to listen to.
Oh, well, thank you. I think. All right. So I do see a question here. Shiva wants to know from Andrew, what's the main benefit Curricula has presented to your company as a user? And I believe he means as a user of Curricula as a partner.
Sure. It's a great question, Shiva. And when we look at evaluation of partners, amongst many other criteria, is ease of management. If we are scaling up a partner like Curricula or any other partner, we want to make it as easy as possible for all of the folks on our end to be managing a particular software. So the kind of centrally managed administration portal that Nick might be able to pop up in a second is very intuitive, very easy to manage, very easy to onboard people, very easy to make changes both to policy and to the individual company. So as a partner and as a user of the software, ease of management is absolutely one of the biggest benefits. And comparing Curricula in the evaluation to some of the more established players, it was night and day. And I'm not kind of exaggerating that. Really was night and day in terms of the experience as an administrator for companies to scale.
Got it. Okay. MSPs have only had the same, 3 or 4 security awareness training options to offer their end users for a while now. So Curricula is saying that it's fun. Do you really, does the fun really matter? Why does the fun matter? Might be a better question.
Yeah, you want me to take that one?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So if you think of kind of when you hear the word training, right? First thing comes to your head, I hate this. Every employee hates training because it's kind of one of those waste of times that just gets in our way. And when it comes to security training, it's one of the worst things in the world because we're all used to it, right? When employees start to resent the things you're giving them, then they're going to start to resent all of these good security practices that you're putting on just because you're there, because you're the one that forced them to do this training. In the long run, and this is why I call ourselves kind of more geared towards changing culture, changing behaviors when no one's looking, is because you want to change behaviors when no one's looking. Who cares what they do inside of our platform? We're looking at them with a microscope, right? It's pretty easy to be good and click things and do things, but it's more of, when the IT person's sleeping at night and when employees are working on their laptops and they're receiving weird stuff, they should have good conscious behaviors because they understand what's happening, not because the death by PowerPoint of 73 slides told them to answer a bunch of quizzes a certain way. Kind of irrelevant. So the reason why we chose to go a more fun approach is because we resonate really well with the employees. And if the employees buy into this idea and concept and they can relate to what we're talking about in a consumable way, well, then they're going to use these narratives that we provide in their everyday lives, both at work and at home. And if you do that right and you build a long-term culture change, a lot of the things that we see that are good to us and good to our customers are the things that happen outside of Curricula's software. It's the Slack channels being generated about Dee Dee and her hacker friends and employees talking about it and putting up stickers all over the offices and stuff. And just hearing these stories come back to us shows that what we're doing and what the actual product does is applying a long-term behavior and cultural change in the organization for the better. And we all know, I mean, we do a lot of data science and conversations with the actuarial scientists at our insurance providers. Like, they're in the business of managing risk, right? They're experts at that. And they want to make sure we can do everything humanly possible to minimize risk. So that way they can have less claims, so they can pay out less money, so they can make more money. So we're a small part of that equation, but it's well understood that risk management plays a role with security awareness. Security awareness plays a role in risk management. And if we do this more than just checking the box for compliance and whatever the regulators told us, we can move our whole community in a better direction, but not easy to do. And there's going to need to be more curriculums, I would say, in the future.
All right, Andrew, I've got a couple more questions about how you, not you per se necessarily, but how Electric kind of operates. So, when it comes to you guys, picking a vendor and then saying, all right, let's do this. Let's put this into use with our clients. We've signed the contract. Now we're going to deploy it. How on earth do you guys begin to do that? Because, at 30 to 40,000 end users, I mean, that's a lot. And I assume that I think it said 40,000. Is that across those 500 partners or 500 companies that you support? So that's a lot of conversations to be had. That's either a lot of engineer hours, or preferably a lot of automation and scripting that needs to be put together. That's also probably, I mean, maybe not for Curricula per se, but for some of these tools you use, there's probably got to be a lot of testing to make sure that they're going to play nicely with all the other software and tools that you've got in play at some of these customers. How do you guys figure out what to do and how to do it?
With great difficulty, Steve. And I'm going to take a quick step back for a second, because I cannot emphasize how much time and emphasis goes to the evaluation of new vendors. As part of that evaluation, one of the big criteria is level of effort. We spend a lot of time chatting to Curricula team about, integrations, APIs, all the fun stuff that we've talked about today. And that is one of the single most defining kind of factors in our decision-making process. Once we've made that decision, we have a pretty good idea now, and we've done a lot of testing with other partners over the last 2 years, what the implications are on different teams, and importantly, the roles and responsibilities across different teams. When we think about new partners and rolling out new vendors like Curricula, some of the teams that we would engage with are service desk, who might be required to troubleshoot, do general SaaS administration, network operations, who are responsible for monitoring and managing systems and tools. There is professional services, who are responsible for rolling out these tools. There is account management or customer success management that is responsible for pitching and presenting these tools. There is product engineering that are responsible for looking at integrations and looking at, as you mentioned, ways to automate the deployment or automate the management of these solutions. So there's a lot. Fortunately, we have, developed somewhat of a toolkit or a roadmap that enables us to, as efficiently as possible, explore what all of those team impacts are going to be, and put a plan in place to train, to test, train, run betas, before we do official launch and before we are going to market with marketing team, but other department, which I haven't gotten into, which of course is responsible for communicating solutions to the customers. So there's a lot that goes into it. And I'd be lying if I said that it was easy, because it's not. But fortunately, the partners, our partners have been very forthcoming with offering their assistance and help with best practices across all facets of the rollout plan. And Curricula certainly has been a very engaged and very collaborative partner on that front. So there is a robust project plan that we undertake. It takes months, and we have a ramp time for any of our partners that would suggest that really we're only up and running or firing on all cylinders after 12 months of having a partnership in place, because all of those various departments, have their role very well established, and it becomes more seamless to roll out, sell, manage, support at scale.
And then let's dive a little deeper. So how do you decide? You guys standardize like everything, right? So when you have all of these choices, and maybe it's not something that is as easy to choose, like, let's say that, security awareness training, there's only one that's fun, right? So that one seems like an easier choice. But if you look at something like endpoint management, when it comes to like security, how do you guys decide what tool or tools to standardize on?
I think I've spoken about it a couple of times in this conversation, Steve. The evaluation of any software or vendor has many eyes, many departments, and is extensive. So there's a lot of different criteria that goes into that. And it's for something like endpoint protection, a really important one, because obviously we would expect every customer in our portfolio to be to have a solution like endpoint protection across the entire fleet. So once again, the evaluation of an endpoint protection solution would be different to a security awareness training provider, but there is a lot that goes into it to ensure that we're making the right decision, both in the short and long term for standardization. There is also flexibility that we need to have for our customers. I'd be lying if I said that we have customers that know before. We have got customers that know before. We offer an extent of management for know before. We do not and will not likely ever in the future play as hands-on a role as we would with a software like Curricula, because it's our preferred solution. It's the solution that we recommend and want our customers to use because of the efficiencies that they will gain through that software, and because of the what we hope some of the value that we can pass off to the customer by choosing our preferred solution. Does that answer your question, Steve?
It does, yes. And when it comes to picking these, are you picking your tools when you evaluate them? Do you ever have customers as kind of test sites, or do you do everything internally with just your own systems or even test systems?
Yes. Well, we are a product-led company, as I mentioned at the start of this call, and I do, again, sit in the product team a lot. And the reason why I'm saying that is there's a lot of conversations that we're having with customers across all segments and persona types to get an understanding as to what their needs are and what they would be interested in terms of specific solutions, because we have very knowledgeable and very educated customers who have experience that we also want to tap into. So there's a lot of feedback that we are gathering at all stages of the life cycle with our customers. There is absolutely testing that would take place, generally starting internally at Electric, and then moving into a beta group of customers. We have very supportive companies that want to be the first to try everything and want to be the first to roll something out. So we would generally lean on that beta group before we consider broader release. But there is, at all stages, a lot of feedback that we're soliciting from our customers, Steve.
And here's a fun question for you. How much of vendor selection is based on margin or profit?
Depends on who you're speaking to. My CFO might give you a very different response to that question than my VP of product. It's an important consideration. Revenue and potential revenue is absolutely something that we need to look at, because ultimately there's bottom line considerations, and importantly, we need to feel comfortable that this is a solution that we're not going to be losing money, because we know that the license cost is only a very small fraction of the cost that it takes to manage and support a product. So it is a very important consideration, Shiva. In fact, if we don't feel the unit economics are going to work and that we would not be able to make a solution profitable, we would either need to negotiate or explore other vendors in the market. I think some of the other points that we look at, and I mentioned a couple of times, level of effort, ease of management, very important consideration, right up there with unit economics when it comes to evaluating a new vendor. Importantly, one of the very mission of Electric is to leverage solutions like Curricula through broader integrations with Electric, which I'm confident will be on the horizon in our partnership with Curricula. So we would, looking at what are the product opportunities for us to be able to improve stickiness of our own software and our own product through our partners, would probably be the third consideration that we look at when we think about evaluation.
Now, Nick, excuse me, Nick, when it comes to your MSP partners, I suspect that you're going to have fewer partners that are the size of Electric. So right now they are probably getting some premium support, but that's also because they're helping you shape the MSP partner program, I suspect, correct?
A little bit. Yeah, there's clearly different sizes and scales of every partner, but we're kind of listening to all of them, right? I think in the long run, we want to be able to help everyone, but we're a small business too, just like every MSP out there. So with limited resources, we're making sure that what we're working on and what we're building and how we're thinking about this makes sense for the majority. And then, our ultimate goal and core value is always about being fun and being simple. So if the product can do that and MSPs can kind of self-serve their way through this, then I think we all win.
And so will smaller MSPs be able to expect the same level of hands-on support from the support team at Curricula?
We're probably asking them too many questions. Maybe we're getting them more involved than they want to be, because we're trying to find stuff out right now. We've been running Curricula for about 6.5 years, a lot on the direct side to learn from how do people actually need to self-serve into this product. And we rolled out our channel partner program and channel dashboard just a few months ago. And although they're using the similar product and delivering the same product to the end user account, there's a lot of wants and needs along the way. So those are clearly different. We will never know those wants and needs until we talk to people. So yes, we have gotten a lot of good conversations involved from the size of Electric, bigger than Electric, way smaller than Electric, and all of it helps.
Very good. All right. Can you talk about like what the bigger problems are with security awareness training?
So, the way we looked at this was, yes, you mentioned there's stuff out there, right? Stuff out there, it works. It should work functionally, right? You're buying a thing that should do things and you're paying a price and you're passing that either down as an add-on or part of your core package. And that's all good, right? But I think as we're moving forward into a future where there are many more choices to be made, hackers are getting a much easier time to destroy end users in the long run. We got to think of a better way to manage risk. And if we're looking at the data, and like I said, like we look at the data of how this stuff is happening, from the latest insurance claims report from Coalition, about half of all claims made are because of a social engineering or human risk event. So if that's the data that we're looking at and people are putting in the vendors that we've already mentioned, it's like, well, then they're not all treated the same, right? And we have to make better choices on how we get people more involved and how we get employees to actually be able to help us get more involved. So as a MSP, if I'm, making those choices, and do I want to spend my time adding new customers and managing kind of my business, or do I want to spend time cleaning up mistakes? Clearly it's the former, right? So if we know that and we agree on that, let's all work towards making better choices of finding the right products, not only with Curricula, but with other tools and services to help reduce our risk and cleanup time.
Man, Shiva is fire with these questions. Now he wants to know how much priority and resources are given to the DevSecOps team over at Curricula. Do you guys have DevSecOps? I think that would be a great starting point.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I pride ourselves on having a pretty small engineering team that runs this organization. We use a serverless compute environment with the AWS Lambda infrastructure. So a lot of our resource constraints are actually on a very modern version of what we're used to, old IT, where you have to kind of chase down patches and things that are just kind of not in existence in our infrastructure. We're a security company by nature. So my background is in security. We embrace this from day one. A lot of our customers are not small businesses. They are the nation's critical infrastructure, and they rely on us to have a sane environment and secure environment in order to provide services to them. One of the other big initiatives that we're working on is, Andrew mentioned it before, SOC 2 is becoming a thing, right? And wasn't a thing a couple of years ago. It was only really geared for the Series C and above and larger SaaS companies. Well, now we're seeing customers coming from all over the place with 4 or 5 employees that are going through SOC 2. Why is that? Well, there's a lot of SOC 2 vendors out there trying to push down to startups and educate them, which I think is a really good thing, right? It's getting security started a lot earlier in organizations and baking security in from day one in every employee's head that joins that organization. So I don't look at DevSecOps the same way that we kind of traditionally look at it. It's kind of part of all of us playing a role because we are a security awareness company.
So there's not necessarily like a person or a team that's doing DevSecOps then?
We don't have a team. We have 4 engineers.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, the answer to that question is basically all of our engineers come in with a security conscious point of view and are not just developers.
Got it. Okay, good. What are you guys offering today for MSPs?
So for the MSPs, we basically have a dashboard that allows them to come in on, I would say we offer 3 programs, but for MSP specifically, it's 2. One is a referral program, traditional You go into the dashboard, you can refer out customers, and then you get paid a recurring commission on that referral. And then the more traditional managed service account, where you can go in, sign up for an account, manage sub accounts for your clients, add them into the platform, and then be able to move them around just like you would with any of your other single pane glass tools. Inside of that account, you can do a bunch of things. So, which is all public on our website. Inside of those accounts, you can set up training like we talked about before. We have a whole library of episodes, which is basically our version of training content. So you can build assignments of training content, bundle those assignments any way you want. You can also add on PCI training as an add-on and some of the other compliance frameworks. On top of that, each one of those episodes comes with digital signage and security awareness posters. So they're all directly relating to each episode. And back to the whole, how do we drive engagement? How do we get employees pumped up about this stuff? Well, we kind of treat this as a marketing campaign. And every time you launch episodes or content, there's heroes and villains and stories within that content that we try to bring to life. And the more we can bring that to life proactively, it's almost like when employees run into each other, either on Zoom meetings or in the hallway, and they start talking about their favorite TV shows. Hey, did you watch the last, episode of Game of Thrones, which was Letdown? It's like, no, I didn't. It's like, well, now you can't be in that conversation. So what we do with security awareness training kind of follows that mindset of almost a psychological, emotional trigger to get employees to kind of feel like they're not missing out on something. But it's almost like a candy coating your vegetables, where they're actually getting some good information out of watching these. So
is that what I'm doing wrong? I need to put candy on my vegetables?
Dip them in some sugar coating, and yeah, what I'd experience. From there, they'll also get access to all of the phishing simulation platforms. So this basically allows you to use Didi in real life. Didi is our AI anti-hero villain hacker. She's the little girl that runs our phishing simulator. So she's your partner in crime. And when you send out phishing tests from our platform, Didi's kind of alongside with you. And she says, hey, I'm going to let you know when I snag someone in this campaign. And she lets you know. She's also part of our reporting service. So when an employee does spot Didi or one of her hacker friends, they can report it. And then Didi will actually let them know, you got me. Nice job. So then from there, one of the other things that's kind of cool inside of Curricula is during the pandemic and everything in between, a lot of what we're doing and building these episodes is great, but everyone wants to make their own content. How do I make my own content on something very specific to my organization or one of my organizations that I manage or a group of organizations? So Curricula actually has a built-in content authoring tool that allows you to tell your own training stories inside the software, add quizzes, upload your own videos, imagery. You can pick from our library of characters and add really, really well-designed content assets. Put those things together, save it, and then bundle it up as part of a training assignment inside the same umbrella here. So it's kind of a full compass learning platform that is a way to communicate to all of your accounts on how you do things and how you should be more secure, and all that can be set up in just a few minutes.
Man, this thing has a ton of features, and the more features that you tell us about, all I hear are like more and more dollar signs. So, I mean, how is this going to be expensive for MSPs?
So it's we're pretty transparent on everything we do, including pricing and features. So everything's on our website, curricula.com/pricing. You can see the two plans. It's professional and enterprise. For MSPs, you can go monthly. So MRR, basically $2 a month for professional, $3 a month for enterprise per employee. And with those, you can clearly see what comes with what. As you scale as an MSP, you also get discounts on the margin. So starting at 20% for the base pricing, as you add more licenses into the platform and you're managing more sub accounts, then your discounts increase across all of your different licenses.
So for the MSP that maybe is super small, one person, maybe just managing a dozen or so endpoints because they're getting started, or COVID wiped out all their clients, whatever the reason, right? Um, those guys hate minimums. They hate contracts. How does this work when that MSP wants to sign up?
Yeah, just go to the site on the screen there, sign up. They'll spin you up a little agreement. It's month to month. So if you decide it's not for you, then you can just bail out after the first month. The minimums, I won't quote me, but I think it's 3 employees is the minimum. It could be 1, but I'll have to check on what the latest update was. But we kind of recognize that as like people just want to start somewhere. There's no revenue minimums or anything. You just get going on a la carte basis.
And that's really cool because let me be honest, when I look at the pricing page, the smallest number of employees that you have on this pricing page is 25. So I just assumed 25 was the minimum.
Yep. It is. It's probably an update we should make because that's for our direct sales. So through MSPs, you actually have more flexibility on how you manage your own pricing and user limits.
That is really great, man. So what I'm hearing is everybody should at least sign up for a single user to see if this thing is good enough, good for you, good for your clients, whatever you want to assess. Now, let's talk about success because we just that word came up. So now we have to, right? How do we know Curricula is actually going to do something for us? Like, okay, great. All of my end users watch the videos. They think DD's adorable. How do we know it works?
Yeah.
And that can be for either of you. Electric, have you guys seen anything like, in the last, I mean, I know you've only been using it with your end users for maybe a few months, but have you guys been able to see any usable metrics when you look at like your ticket types and subtypes and all that?
It's a great question, and I wouldn't be able to, off the top of my head, provide any, accurate data there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, again, going back to the portal or the dashboard, everything is very easy to access in terms of this is what happened in month 1. Let's run the same campaign. Let's run a phishing test in month 6 and see what the impact is. See how much the portal or the modules or Curricula have in fact improved end users' response to various campaigns. So to your point, we're still early days. I'm confident that if you ask me the question in 12 months, we'd have a lot of juicy data to be able to report back on.
Well, pencil me in. All right, so Nick, how about you? From your end, have you been able to come up with any type of real data? Like, do you have some like charts and graphs and anything like that where you can say, this company or these groups of companies, they all had these security issues, and now that they've been using Curricula for X months and they've been going through the campaigns, they've had a drop in 76% of security issues or something like that.
Yeah, like all that data is all available with every vendor. I think like they all have charts and buttons and things that are pretty easy to look at. Phishing tests are cool, right? They tell you numbers. It tells you things, who clicks on what. We all have that. The difference is what we're focused on is that everything that happens outside of our platform. So the real stuff. And when I talk about security culture, I do this at security conferences all the time, is how do we measure security culture? It's not inside of any of our pieces of software here. It's outside of the software. And the best way that I can kind of present how that could be done is talk to HR teams about how they measure culture, right? It's not a number that spits out of a dashboard. It's an actual conversation, and it's a lot of contextual behaviors and a lot of, kind of insights on how your employees interact with each other. When Curricula is implemented at a company, before we implement, we ask a little bit about what they're currently doing. And you typically just see the, I hate everything to do with security awareness training. My employees want to kill me because every time I have to give it to them, they get super mad because I'm wasting their time. And the list goes on, right? After they use our product, the things that we like to hear and see when we know we're making a bigger impact than just numbers on a dashboard is when people literally talk about, man, Didi, that little piece of garbage just got me another phishing text. And like, I hate this. Like, and you start seeing emotion come out of employees on something that's literally made up. It's a cartoon inside of a screen. And because of that, it's made such an impact at a lot of these organizations where they'll sponsor lunch and learns based off our characters and stories. They set up the Slack channels. They have icons with all of our little characters dancing, and employees are kind of self-creating this world and kind of the support around this product and the content within it that literally changes the culture of a company. That is what I'm actually more excited and concerned in trying to focus our entire team on educating everyone on. The buttons and the numbers and the bells and whistles, we all have that stuff. I think that's the easy part. It's more of let's move beyond the numbers inside the screen.
So I think I'm a little confused, and I'm going to put my AOL hat on right now. So you either do have numbers that you say aren't important because every security awareness training company has similar numbers that may or may not be fictional. Or you didn't actually bother putting together the numbers because you don't think they're important, because you're actually seeing more important things happening with the culture within your clients. Because when you see them getting, ticked off because, they're not able to beat Didi's test or whatever else, now it seems like they've got the emotion in it, and now they actually are going to try. And by simply trying to succeed at whatever tests and simulations and everything else that you guys throw at them with Didi and all your other characters, they're learning through osmosis just because they're trying to win the game. And now this is going to make them better at security awareness overall.
Yeah. So if you want raw numbers, I mean, typically if a company's never done security awareness training, it's about a 40% click rate on a scenario that we send out. And then if they've never done anything, a lot of companies that we target are ones that are a little more mature, that they've done something, used one of the products that we've talked about. And now they're looking to make that impact because they can't keep the attention of employees to help them with security decisions. So because of that, we'll do these phishing tests and you'll see numbers kind of go down, and you're supposed to have numbers on the screen. You don't want a 0% click rate on every single thing, because the point of phishing simulations and training is to train. It's to educate. It's to put people to the test. No different than flight simulators for pilots. Like, they continue to learn and evolve. With those numbers, it all depends on the maturity of the organization. We had a large utility that you would, expect are, an older demographic, ones that don't care about this stuff. Well, they have been using the products that we've talked about for years, and they've had numbers. And the reason I talk about that the dashboards and numbers don't really matter is because people will still make mistakes because they're not engaged. They're not motivated to help their security teams. And that company, which we're writing a case study on, is a utility with an older workforce that has completely flipped the script on how they're treating phishing simulations and training. And now they're getting employees actually reaching out to them proactively about some of the stuff that they've never heard from them before. Like, whoa, Michael's sending me an email talking about phishing. Like, this is crazy. I thought that guy hated us. Like, no, they hated the things you were doing to them. So that's why I guess I keep going back to, like, yes, there's numbers and there's data and insurance reports and all kinds of cool things you can look at. And yes, it does make the numbers better. But ultimately, if you want to have a sustainable future and a sustainable security culture, a lot of things that we're doing are driving towards that. Ultimately, yes, they will help out with numbers too.
I gotta say, I love it, man. Can you show us Curricula?
I can.
Okay, because what I'm especially interested in is, let's say we sign up to be a partner. How quickly, while you pull all this up, how quickly does it take for us to, like, be a partner?
5 minutes. Basically, sign up. Someone will reach out, say, "Are you're real?" And then they'll literally send you an in-app agreement, and then you just hit the button and get going.
That's awesome. And then now that we're a partner, how easily is it for us to deploy Curricula either to ourselves or to a first customer?
Couple minutes. Basically, hit new customer, type in their name, type in the number of licenses in the plan, and then add them in manually, upload them to CSV, sync it to Okta or Microsoft or whatever tools you use, and you should be up and running in a few minutes. And our team basically helps guide your training wheels that whole time to make sure you got a template and a repeatability.
I want to give you a couple of product names. That way, maybe you can work some kind of partnership out with them. These are, what do they call themselves? End user experience managers or something along those lines. One is called Cloud Radial, Radial, and the other one is called Invarosoft, Invaro Soft. Both of those tools will do something similar. They'll integrate with 365 and a few other things, and they'll integrate with the PSA. You work with ConnectWise or Anytask or any of those right now?
Not yet.
Okay. So those will integrate to the PSA. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity here to where you can interface directly with, the Invarosofts and Curriculas and Cloud Radials and build something out to where MSPs and their clients have still a single portal to where they can kind of access all their stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of this is going on. I think I mentioned before some of these SOC 2 compliance vendors that are basically working with software organizations. We're also going through this as well with a company called Drata. And Drata just raised, I think it was like a 25 million Series A, all focused on this stuff. So a lot of where our first phases of these integrations is helping people turn on compliance and turn on security with ease. We've done this with Coalition very well, the cybersecurity insurance company that we talk about. We integrate directly with them so that you hit a button, it turns on an account with us, activates everything and does all this automation. Now it's just finding like the ones you just mentioned and creating more automation for the tools people already use.
All right. Well, I am ready for the thing. Are we ready for me to pop it on?
I think so. Do I have to share it or you're sharing it?
Oh, it's shared.
Here we go. So this is the channel partner dashboard. So this is where I kind of land in to manage my account as a MSP. So this is after that, sign up from the website on curricula.com/partners. You'll get someone to confirm who you are. You do an in-app agreement, and then you're off to the races, and they'll help you set up your accounts and manage them from there. If I go into my accounts, this is kind of where I have my dashboard, and you'll see a couple things here. First is my Sandbox account. So everyone gets started with a Sandbox account. You can go in and you get a demo of this, just signing up with us before you actually do any of those agreements. In the Sandbox, it lets you live and play and learn and figure out if you like Curricula. So the Sandbox is pretty cool because it's a kind of an internal use only testing environment that allows you to keep forever. So that way you're not doing anything on a customer account and you don't need to make a secondary test account. Then you have your accounts. So these are the ones you're managing. At a simple glance, this just kind of lists them all out. If they're active, it'll tell you the number of licenses they have and when you make them. And then I'll go jump into one. So inside the account, I'm kind of subbed in now to that account. So I'm actually managing this on behalf of them. And there's a lot of configuration things you can kind of do. You can add more admins inside of it for your sub account. So if you have an organization that might want to see the platform or manage the platform themselves, and you might manage it with them, there's a lot of flexibility inside of the tool to do that. Lots of different settings and stuff that you can do across the tool too. from phishing to assignments. You can create departments. You can, tags that are all these different relationships that allow you to make reports even better than just employees. But again, this is all kind of stuff that once you get in, you can always do later on. But the place to start is on learners. So learners are basically what we call employees, or what some organizations call users. And learners, pretty easy to do. So you're basically paying for a certain amount of licenses on each one of your sub accounts that you're managing. A license basically means that is the employee active, and can the employee take training or phishing at any given time? That's what active means. At any point, I can go in and deactivate an account. And what that does is turns the account off. It lets it kind of be there for compliance and historical purposes, but it opens up a license on my account again to apply to someone else inside that organization. Getting learners in, pretty easy. I can manually just create a learner, type in their name if I want to one-off it for a small MSP. I can import it from a CSV, or like I talked about before, I can go into my group and then actually sync up to an Okta instance, a Microsoft 365, a OneLogin, you name it, LDAP, whatever it is, that'll automatically manage my import and sync settings on my behalf. Once I get my employees for my customers inside of this account, now it's all about setting up that assignment of content. So inside of the assignment of content, there's all different ways that you can do this. The traditional ways we see this happen is there's a compliance training of some sort, like a PCI or something very nitty gritty. There's a new employee onboarding. Maybe you want everyone to go through a certain type of content. And then you have your general security awareness, which we traditionally see companies launch this out to keep a monthly cadence of new episodes releasing throughout the year. I'll hop into an assignment just to kind of show you what this looks like. But assignments are really flexible. Think of these like giving assignments to little kids, except for little kids, they're adults that work at your customer account. And in here, I can pick all the different topics and episodes that I want to give out to those employees and then bundle them all up in a neat little package, which we call an assignment. So this assignment is our security awareness program. It covers all of ransomware, phishing, business email compromise, and work safety, which is one that I custom created on this account. What's nice about this is kind of your snapshot view of a report. So I can export this to a PDF. I can send this out to my customers and have a conversation about it, saying, hey, look, we're seeing some really good participation about your employees getting engaged with Curricula, or maybe we're having some of your employees struggle on some of these tough topics that I want them to know. This is something that's really good to bring to your customers because it lets them know that you're aware, that they need to be aware that they have some risks that you're trying to solve for them. It's a great conversation starter too. And then here's your compliance section. So for every assignment, let's say, Andrew, we talked about this before, I got to do compliance for an audit. This is your audit button. If one of your customers is getting audited, you hit this button. It gives you a whole giant CSV with very compliance friendly columns and rows that you can manipulate. The auditor can look at down the road. This also shows you every bit of activity for every learner of all the episodes they've taken with a date timestamp located for that specific piece of training. And that can all be exported.
Can I click on all of those different headings to sort?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. So what about for the MSP that says, I need to get security awareness training for my clients. Now I have it. Now what? Like, how can you walk an MSP through, like, here's how to set up your first client if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing when it comes to deploying this? Because, it might be that we think, oh, they need every single one of these courses. And now we've just inundated with a client with like 9 hours of stuff to do, and they're going to hate us for it. So how do we use this correctly?
Yep. That is normal. That is expected. And that is exactly why we have a team of advisors that actually does this for you to get your template going. The reason that it's not the same for everyone. What Electric is doing is dramatically different than what some of our smaller MSPs are doing than what some of the other MSPs are doing. So because of that, we will actually walk you through just kind of like what I'm doing here, like import your learners. What does your client base look like? Do they mostly use Microsoft 365? Do they sync to Okta? I want to show you all these things. That way you have a little bit of knowledge of where they are in the app. But more importantly, it's there to kind of be those training wheels. Like, we're going to actually help you build this template so you can do this in a few minutes for every customer you onboard. And hey, if you run into some trouble, we're going to put those training wheels back on and help you out anytime. So it's kind of expected that no one knows where to start here. That is why we're here, to be the extension of your MSP, to be experts on this subject.
I like that. Now, I see that there's a separate section or page up on the very top. It says phishing. What is in that?
Hopefully not a
Next
monster,
year.
but it is. It is a little monster that you'll get to know, Dee, that we talked about. So, once you've built your training assignment, we think that comes first, because a lot of organizations, just like you mentioned, they believe that they want to go in and just hammer employees with phishing emails out of the gate. That's good to get a baseline. Sometimes, like I talked about, the 40%. But training comes first. Like, that would be like going to school and then you get the final exam on day one. It's like, well, I didn't learn about any of these topics yet. So what we've built this library for is to kind of guide each MSP into designing kind of a plan, a training program for each one of their sub accounts and customers, and then utilize phishing as part of that rotation. So I will hop in here, but the other thing I wanted to mention inside of this content tool before we hop over to phishing is that each episode can actually be customized with passing scores in here that you can define for every episode. And this can be defaulted. So you don't need to touch any of this stuff. It automatically just works out of the box. But you could also put your own custom policies and contact info in for each topical area. So maybe there's a different conversation with physical security as it relates to one of those sub accounts as it is with phishing, as it is to social engineering. You can customize those as you will.
Very nice. So, and the reason I asked about the phishing section is because I guess the first question is, would this be where I can just send out a random phishing test so I can see where all of the end users are at? And then the second follow-up question would be, am I able to use this maybe for a prospect? So I can say to them, hey, you're already my client, so I sent every one of your employees a test phishing email, and I see 73% of them all clicked on it and gave me all of this information. So I think now's a good time for us to talk about security awareness training. Don't you agree?
It's a really good question. I think every MSP is different on that front. Some of them just turn it on. Like, you're getting this whether you like it or not, because we know how important it is. We actually had an MSP that did that, exactly what you said, sent it out, caught the CEO and several others in the organization. And then,
nice.
And you would think happy ending. The CEO is like, well, who cares? And then the MSP is like, what do you mean? You just fell for this. And he's like, well, who cares? I don't care. Like, this is just you that sent it. So I think the gap on some of the smaller MSPs is getting into this moment of cyber-splaining what's happening inside of this tool and what services they're actually providing with this tool, and not just the numbers and the clicks on the screen, but hey, if this happened in real life, we simulated this. If this was real, I would have had to done this. I would have had to charge you this. You would have lost customer this. You had to pay insurance, this. Now that becomes a more real story than just saying, hey, we have a bunch of clicks on the screen. But yeah, they actually didn't buy it. So we kind of advise at least against that for some of the smaller. And that's where I think there's a lot of flexibility here with Electric said they're doing this as an add-on. They also have a little bit of a more mature workforce, I think, and sales and marketing team to help do that cyber splaining based off this. But again, these are things we're learning, that everyone's different. And it's more about finding ways to be flexible and maybe offering some of that stuff in here for prospect phishing, I guess you would call it, with agreements. But on our direct side, just to fill you in, we don't allow any type of fish to go out the door without an agreement from the organization that they are authorizing it, which the admins do before they come into the application. They go through terms and conditions to basically let them know that you're using this for good purposes, internal only. You're not just going out and fishing random organizations to try to drum up business. That is illegal.
Oh, that's I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. All right, so I have just a couple of other questions left, at least for me. For those of you watching this, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat now. That way we can ask those. So we've already talked about pricing, and we've talked about how there is a discount for MSPs, I believe starting even at 1, and then the discount gets better as we continue to get more and more end users. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, 20% is where all MSPs start on their discount or their margin discount rate.
How Shiva earlier asked what the referral is like. Are we getting 20% on all referrals, or?
Referrals are 10%, and that's also recurring. So all you need to do is pass that lead over. We do all the billing, we manage the customer, we market to them, we onboard them, and we support them. And then for saying thank you for passing them over, as long as they remain a Curricula customer, we continue to pay that referral fee each year.
And does that referral fee ever get better? Like how the MSP discount continues to maybe go up as we continue to get more and more licenses?
It probably could. We just don't see a lot of volume on the referral side. So it's more focused on the managed side. But
I could see that. I mean, it's nicer and easier for us when we're able to manage it too,
Yep. Exactly.
All right. So what is next on your roadmap? Do you guys have any secrets you want to spill the beans on?
Probably. Yeah. So, we've had this section here, which I talked about, the library section. So this is earlier before we started, we were talking about Wix a little bit. Right away, we've heard people talk about our content creator as the Wix website builder for making content. So this is something that we just launched right prior to the MSP program that allows you to make custom training content on any topic and deliver it out the door to your customers. And this is how it looks. I mean, you literally log in. It's the exact same tool that we Curricula employees use to deliver our training episodes. The difference is that we have an in-house creative design and music team that builds all of the content. But anyone can build this, like what we're doing here, create content, upload videos to it, add quiz questions, all this stuff, and deliver it in one of those assignments. So if you take this concept of how easy this is to just kind of plug and play and add this in as a non-designer, non-programmer to release content, one of the struggles we've seen with phishing simulations is that a lot of people are just doing phishing simulations, but they're not really getting anything out of it other than the numbers on the screen. So not only have we added deviant play where you can kind of meet and greet the characters from the episodes that you're actually fighting against in the real simulator, but we're also adding in a component where it allows you to make your own custom phishing templates, just like you're seeing here in like a Wix style builder, to make powerful phishing templates, not just phishing templates. And I correlate that for a reason, because a lot of phishing templates are designed to be better and better and better. And I know, plain text ones still have a high click rate, but what we wanted to do is save any admin time on making this stuff in a simple click and launch point of view. So that is actually coming next on our roadmap, where customers and MSPs will be able to launch their own custom phishing templates, create them, and manage them to their customers. Second on the list is we are working with the API integrations, like we just talked about with some of those compliance customers. So because of that, that is something that's going to open the door to a lot of future integrations. We want to hear about them. I'm familiar with ConnectWise, familiar with, I met the CEO of Perch Security back in the day to talk about kind of their partnership with ConnectWise early on. And yes, I think that's kind of in our future to figure out where are the tools and services that we would like to play nicely with. and then getting a plan together to play nicely with them. But more importantly, I think the bigger picture of what's next for us is that a lot of people don't know about us. A lot of people don't know they have another choice here. And I didn't share this earlier, but we're actually private equity funded from the former founders of AppRiver. The founders of AppRiver that sold to Zix Corporation a few years ago, we met with them, and that is actually our Series A partner as a private equity backed organization. Because of that, and the reason we pursued this partnership is because we were excited to get more insights from the MSP world. And because of their knowledge, I mean, everyone knows AppRiver, because of their knowledge and awareness to deal with AppRiver and their customer success team and their tremendous support, we felt like that was going to be our future. So what we've done to this date has been pretty good on the direct side, but we want to make sure that we're starting to put a big name out in the industry that, hey, we're here, we're another choice from the tools and services you already know about, and it's pretty fun and easy to get started. So why not give us a shot?
Well, thank you so much for showing us all of this, Nick. And I just want to clarify with this builder here, making custom content, are you saying that I could be making, or the end user or whoever could be making content that might not even be related to security just because we're happy to have a learning platform?
Absolutely. And we see it today. I mean, you can make content on how to make a pizza in here if you really wanted to. It's up to you. And a lot of this came from COVID, right? When everyone was forced to work remote, not only was security awareness training a priority, but they had to train people on all other things, new employee practices, their product, their customers, everything in between. And we felt it was a good idea to say, hey, let's support that. Let's bake that into this product so you don't have to go buy a security awareness tool, PowerPoint, a Wix website builder, an LMS tool. I mean, it's too many tools. Let's try to combine all that and make it under one roof and make it really easy to manage and deliver to everyone.
Well, this is awesome, man. Nick, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on here and doing this today. I'm going to toss this banner down at the bottom one more time. Become a partner of Curricula. Is that the right URL? Because I thought you had getcurricula.com.
We just migrated. We had Get Curricula for years and years and years, and we just acquired the domain late last year, Curricula.com. So Curricula.com/partners, but you could still use Get for quite a while.
Congratulations. All right. So yeah, head over to Curricula.com/partners. Curricula is CURRICULA. And you can get signed up. It looks like it's a free program for you to get signed up as a partner, and you should be able to get started with as few as 1 to 3 licenses. And there's also a sandbox that you can play around in that requires 0 licenses. So there's definitely opportunity there for you to play around with this product, get to know it, and more before you even feel like you have to sign your life away. And the best part of that is signing your life away, it only happens a month at a time because they don't have long-term contracts. So thank you so much, guys, for doing this. Andrew, thank you so much to you and the entire Electric team for being willing to come on here and kind of peel back the curtain a little bit to see how you guys operate. I would love to have more conversations with you and other people at Electric, literally anytime you guys want, because I think that your company is inspiring to see that not only can an MSP launch and 5 years later be a huge success, but you're also able to do it as a startup and get funding. And that's phenomenal.
Thanks, Steve. And I would be more than happy to join the program at any time, bringing up the folks from my end. It's been great to chat to you and great to join Nick. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to kind of help afterwards as well.
Awesome. And Nick, you just shared another one that It's unlockedcomputer.com. You said it's a fun little thing to share when they find computers unlocked.
Do you know how people put David Hasselhoff on desktops when they find a computer unlocked and all these funny things? So we just made a fun little free tool, unlockcomputer.com, and it puts a dancing DD on the employee's screen, and it shows them how to lock their computer. But we see it used all the time. Even if you're not a customer, it's just something fun to do.
Well, see, my favorite thing to do was to press Control-Alt-Down arrow to make, because most of the time they had the Intel graphics, and that would flip the screen upside down. Or I'd hit like the left or right A to really screw with them to make it sideways. But that was my favorite thing to do when somebody left their computer unlocked. But I'm a little different. I'm a trickster. I like having fun. So, guys, this was great. People that were watching, thanks so much for watching. For those of you listening, thanks to you as well. And I do hope that you all have yourselves a fantastic day.
Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today.